The city was burning when Do-hyun found the dying prince. Black smoke rose from the crystal towers that once reached toward the twin suns of Valeth. The beautiful spires now lay broken like shattered glass across the streets. Do-hyun stepped carefully through the rubble, his medical bag heavy on his shoulder. He was looking for supplies, anything that could help the wounded back at their small camp. The attack had come 3 days ago. The creatures they called devourers had swept down from space like a dark cloud. They were hungry things with too many teeth and acid for blood. They ate everything they touched. Metal, stone, flesh. It did not matter to them. Do-hyun kicked aside a piece of fallen wall and froze. There was someone lying in the ruins ahead. The figure was tall and thin, with skin that looked like it was made of blue crystal. It was one of the Violathi, the people who lived on this world. The alien was badly hurt. His crystal skin was cracked in many places, and strange silver blood leaked from the wounds. But what made Do-hyun stare was the light. The Violathi glowed, softly from inside, like a lamp with a dying battery. This one's light was getting weaker as Do-hyun watched. Do-hyun knew he should keep walking. His captain had made the rules very clear. They were here as neutral observers only. The human diplomatic mission was not supposed to take sides in alien wars. They were just supposed to watch and report back to Earth. But Do-hyun was a medic. He had sworn an oath to help those who were hurt, no matter who they were. He knelt beside the dying alien and opened his medical bag. The Valethi's eyes opened. They were large and silver, like mirrors that showed the stars. The alien tried to speak but only made a wet sound. "Don't move," Do-hyun said gently. He pulled out his scanner and ran it over the alien's body. The readings made him frown. This was not just injury from the attack. Something was eating the alien from inside, like a poison that attacked the very cells. The Vilethi tried to speak again. This time words came out, broken and hard to understand. "You human," the alien whispered. His voice sounded like wind chimes in a soft breeze. "Yes, I'm human. My name is Do-hyun. I'm going to try to help you." The alien's silver eyes grew wide. He reached out with a shaking hand and grabbed Do-hyun's wrist. His grip was surprisingly strong. "No, you must listen." The Vilethi coughed, and more silver blood ran from his mouth. "I am Prince Kale. My death will kill millions." Do-hyun felt his heart skip. A prince. He was treating royalty, but that was not what worried him. It was what the prince had said about millions dying. "What do you mean?" Do-hyun asked. Prince Kale's light flickered like a candle in the wind. He was dying fast. The shield, generators, they are linked to my life force. When I die, shields fall. The people, in the deep shelters, they will have no protection. Do-hyun understood now. Somewhere below this ruined city, millions of Valethi civilians were hiding in underground shelters. The only thing keeping them safe from the devourers was some kind of energy shield, and this prince was the key that kept those shields working. "There has to be something I can do," Do-hyun said. He pulled out every medicine he had, every tool that might help, but his equipment was made for humans, not crystal-skinned aliens. "The poison," Prince Kale whispered. "It is not from this world. The devourers, they carry it inside them. It eats our kind from within. No cure exists." Do-hyun felt anger rise in his chest. He had seen too much death already. His own brother had died in the colony wars. His wife had been killed when raiders attacked their medical station. He was tired of watching good people die while he could do nothing. "I won't let you die," he said firmly. Prince Kale's eyes focused on him with effort. "You cannot understand. My people, we have waited so long for the humans to remember." "Remember what?" But Prince Kale was getting weaker. His words came slower now. "The old compact, the promise, made in the dark between stars, Humans were meant for more than healing. You were meant to call them home. Do-hyun had no idea what the prince meant, but as he knelt there, trying to stop the silver blood from flowing, something strange began to happen. He started to hear whispers at the edge of his mind. Soft voices speaking words he did not recognize but somehow understood. The whispers grew stronger. They seemed to come from very far away, from a place that smelled of pine forests and cold, mountain air. They spoke of old hunts and older promises. They spoke of loyalty that could cross the space between worlds. "Can you hear them?" Prince Kael asked. His voice was barely a breath now. "The voices from your home world?" Do-hyun nodded, not trusting his voice. The whispers were getting louder, and they were starting to make his teeth ache. "Then there is still hope," the prince said. His crystal skin was going dark, the light inside him fading like a dying star. "But you must be ready to pay the price, to sing the song that calls them home." "I don't understand," Do-hyun said. "Calls who home?" Prince Kael smiled, and for a moment his light flared bright again. "The wolves," he whispered. "Your people's first allies. They have been waiting so long to hunt again." The whispers in Do-hyun's mind suddenly became a roar. Images flashed. Behind his eyes, great gray shapes running through forests, yellow eyes gleaming in the dark, the sound of howling that could shake mountains. But these were not normal wolves. These were something older, something that remembered when humans and wolves first learned to hunt together. Prince Kael's hand tightened on Do-hyun's wrist one last time. "When I die, sing the old words. Even if you do not know them, your blood remembers. Sing, and they will come." The prince's light went out like a candle in the wind. Do-hyun knelt there in the ruins holding the hand of a dead alien prince, while whispers from Earth called to him across the dark between stars. Above him the sky began to change color as the planetary shield started to fail, and in the distance he could hear the hungry sounds of the devourers coming closer. Do-hyun sat beside Prince Kael's body as the world began to end around him. The crystal skin of the dead prince was turning gray like old stone, but something else was happening too. Images were flooding into Do-hyun's mind, visions that were not his own. He saw strange scenes playing out like movies behind his closed eyes. He saw the first human ships leaving Earth, small and fragile things barely able to cross the space between stars. He saw them meeting tall beings with crystal skin who moved like dancers through the void. The Valithi had been waiting for them, as if they knew humans would come. In the vision, the two species made a deal. The Valithi would protect human colonies from the dark things that hunted in deep space. In return, humans would serve as something the crystal beings called war singers, but the vision was fuzzy, and Do-hyun could not understand what that meant. The sound of running feet broke through his thoughts. So-young appeared around a pile of broken stone, her engineer uniform torn and dirty. She saw Do-hyun kneeling beside the alien body and stopped short. "Do-hyun, what are you doing?" she asked. "We need to get back to the ship. The shields around the city just failed. Captain Jiho is calling for immediate evacuation." Do-hyun looked up at her. His head was pounding from the visions, and the whispers in his mind had not stopped. "This was Prince Kael," he said. "His death triggered the shield failure. Millions of people are going to die." So-young knelt beside him and checked her scanner. "I'm reading some kind of quantum field around the body," she said with a frown. "And around you too. Do-hyun, your brain patterns are going crazy. What happened here?" Before Do-hyun could answer, another person came running through the ruins. It was Minju, the team's scientist who studied alien life. Her face was pale with fear. "The devourer swarms are moving," she said breathlessly. "They're heading for the underground shelters. Without the shields, those people don't have a chance." Do-hyun stood up slowly. The whispers in his head were getting stronger, and now he could almost make out words. They were in a language he had never learned, but somehow his blood knew what they meant. "There might be another way," he said. So-young and Minju looked at him like he had gone crazy. "What are you talking about?" So-young asked. Do-hyun tried to explain the visions, the compact between humans and Valethi, the promises made in the dark, between stars. The two women listened with growing amazement. That's impossible, Minju said when he finished. Humans have only been in space for 200 years. We have records of first contact with every species we've met. Do we? Do-hyun asked. Or were some records hidden, buried so deep we forgot they existed? Minju pulled out her data pad and began running searches through the human historical database. Her eyes grew wide as she read. There are gaps, she admitted. Periods in early space exploration where the records are classified or missing. And there are genetic markers in human DNA that we've never been able to explain. Sequences that seem designed for some purpose we don't understand. The ground shook beneath their feet. In the distance, they could see the black shapes of devourers, rising from the earth like oil bubbling up from deep wells. The creatures had found the entrances to the underground shelters. We need to leave now, So-young said urgently. But Do-hyun could not move. The whispers were becoming a song now, ancient words that his mouth wanted to speak even though his mind did not know them. He felt something waking up in his blood, something that had been sleeping for generations. Contact Captain Jiho, he told the others. Tell him what we've found. Tell him about the compact. So-young activated her communicator. Captain Jiho's voice crackled through the static. Where are you people? He demanded. The Valethi fleet is falling back. They're abandoning the planet. We need to leave with them. Captain, So-young said quickly. Do-hyun has discovered something about human history. There was an ancient agreement between our species and the Valethi. We might be able to help them. There was silence on the communicator for a long moment. Then Jiho's voice came back, tighter now. I'm getting reports from across the galaxy, he said. Something is happening on Earth. Every wolf pack on the planet has started acting strange. They're all howling at the same time, facing toward deep space. Scientists can't explain it. Do-hyun felt his heart skip. The wolves on Earth were responding to something. They could feel what was happening here, across all the empty space between worlds. There's more, Jiho continued. Luna bases, detecting massive gravitational waves coming from Earth's magnetic field. Whatever is causing the wolf behavior, it's affecting space-time itself. Minju was staring at her scanner readings. Do-hyun, the quantum field around you is growing stronger. Your neural activity is off the charts. It's like your brain is trying to communicate with something very far away. The song in Do-hyun's head grew louder. He could see more visions now, clearer than before. He saw the real reason humans had been chosen by the Valethi. It was not because humans were smart or strong or good at making deals. It was because humans had something no other species possessed. They had made a bond with predators. On a million. World's intelligent species had risen above their animal nature and left it behind. But humans had done something different. They had invited their predators to join them, to become partners in the hunt for survival. The first wolves that had come to human fires had not just been tamed. They had been transformed into something new, something that could bridge the gap between civilized thought and primal instinct. And that bridge could stretch across space itself when the need was great enough. I understand now, Do-hyun said quietly. We're not just diplomats or traitors. We're the galaxy's apex predators, and when civilization is threatened, we can call in the pack. The dead prince's body began to glow with soft light again. Prince Kael's voice whispered in Do-hyun's mind, speaking words that came from beyond death. Sing the song, war singer. Call them home. The hunt begins now. Above them, the sky started to crack like broken glass. The cracks in the sky grew wider as Do-hyun began to sing. He did not know the words that came from his mouth. They were older than human language, older than the first fires his ancestors had built to keep the darkness away. The sounds hurt his throat, but he could not stop. Something deep in his blood was driving him to continue. So-young stepped backward, her eyes wide with fear. Do-hyun, what's happening to you? His friend's voice sounded far away, like she was calling to him from across a great distance. The song was pulling him somewhere else, somewhere that smelled of snow and pine trees and the warm breath of hunting. Companions. The quantum readings are impossible, Minju said, staring at her instruments. Space-time is bending around him. The gravitational waves are reaching across the galaxy. Captain Jiho's voice crackled through the communicator, full of panic. All teams report back to the ship immediately. Earth Command is sending emergency signals. Every predator on the planet has gone silent. The wolves, the big cats, even the sharks in the oceans. They've all stopped what they were doing and they're looking up at the stars. But Do-hyun could not hear them anymore. The song had taken him to a place between worlds where the spirits of every wolf that had ever run beside humans were waiting. They had been sleeping for so long, dreaming of hunts that would never come. Now they were waking up. Far away on Earth. In a research station on the moon, scientist Heejin watched her instruments with growing amazement. The gravitational waves coming from Earth's magnetic field were creating patterns she had never seen before. It was as if the planet itself was singing. "Director," she called to her supervisor, "you need to see this. The wave patterns are not random. They're structured, like a language or a song. On Earth's surface, every wolf pack on the planet was doing something that made no sense to the scientists watching them. They were arranging themselves in perfect circles, dozens of wolves in each group, all facing outward toward the sky. Their eyes glowed in the darkness like tiny stars. The pack leaders threw back their heads and howled, but no sound came out. Instead, the howls became pure energy that shot up through Earth's atmosphere and out into space. The energy carried the memory of every hunt, every successful chase, every moment when wolf and human had worked together to survive. Back on the dying planet Violet, Do-hyun felt the response coming from his homeworld. The pack was answering his call. But they were still so far away, and the devourers were closing in on the underground shelters. "Do-hyun, you have to stop," So-young said. She grabbed his arm and immediately let go with a cry of pain. His skin was burning hot, and strange lights were dancing under his flesh. The air around him began to shimmer like heat waves rising from summer pavement. But this was not heat. This was something far more dangerous. The fabric of reality was starting to come apart. Prince Kale's body was glowing brighter now, as if the dead alien was feeding power into whatever Do-hyun was doing. The prince's voice whispered in his mind, urgent and afraid. "War Singer, the portal is opening too fast. Your people are not ready for what is coming. The wolves you are calling, they are not the same ones that ran with your ancestors. They have become something else during their long wait." Do-hyun tried to stop singing, but the words kept pouring out of him. He could feel the pack getting closer, pushing through barriers that separated the dimensions. They were coming, and nothing in the universe could stop them now. The devourers sensed something was wrong. The black creatures that had been pouring into the underground shelters suddenly stopped their attack. They lifted their horrible heads toward the cracking sky and made sounds of fear. Even they, in their endless hunger, knew that something worse than them was coming. "The shelters," Minju shouted over the growing noise. "The civilians are still trapped down there. If Do-hyun tears open reality, he might kill everyone he's trying to save." Captain Jiho's voice came through the communicator again, but now, it was filled with wonder instead of fear. "The Velithi fleet has stopped retreating. Their ships are turning around, coming back toward the planet. They're saying something about the old promises being kept." The cracks in the sky spread wider, and through them came a light that was not light. It was the glow of starfire and ancient loyalty, of bonds forged in ice ages and never broken. The temperature around Do-hyun dropped so fast that frost began forming on the broken stones. So-young and Minju backed away as the air itself seemed to come alive. They could hear something moving in the spaces between reality, something vast and powerful, and very, very hungry. "They're not just wolves," Do-hyun managed to say between the words of the song. "They're the spirit of every predator that ever chose partnership over conquest. Every creature that decided to hunt with humans instead of hunting humans." The ground began to shake as something enormous pressed against the barriers between worlds. Prince Kale's spirit appeared beside his body, his crystal form glowing with desperate hope. The compact is being fulfilled, the dead prince said. But Warsinger, you must be ready. The pack you are calling has been waiting in the space between spaces for thousands of years. They have grown beyond what they once were. They are no longer just Earth's children. They have become something that can hunt across the stars themselves. The largest crack in the sky suddenly split wide open. Through it came a howl that shook the planet's core and sent the devourer swarms fleeing in terror. It was the sound of the ultimate predator, the voice of every hunt that had ever succeeded, concentrated into one perfect note of fury and joy. And then, like a silver flood pouring through a broken dam, the wolves began to come through. But these were not the wolves that had once run beside campfires on ancient Earth. These were creatures made of condensed starlight and primal hunger, each one the size of a spacecraft, their eyes burning with the accumulated wisdom of every successful hunt in the galaxy's history. The pack had answered the call, and they were very, very ready to hunt. The first wolf to emerge from the rift was massive beyond imagination. It was 3 times the size of the human ship that sat broken in the ruins nearby. Its body was made of silver light that moved like liquid mercury, and its eyes burned with the blue fire of distant stars. When it stepped through the crack in the sky, its paws touched empty air as if it were walking on solid ground. So Young fell to her knees, unable to look away from the impossible creature. "What have we done?" she whispered. More wolves poured through the dimensional tear. Each one was different, shaped by the memories of hunts from 1,000 different worlds. Some had fur that looked like the aurora lights that danced around Earth's poles. Others were made of crystallized starlight that chimed like bells when they moved. But all of them had the same burning intelligence in their eyes, the look of predators who had never known defeat. The devourers that had been attacking the underground shelters stopped their assault completely. The hungry black creatures that feared nothing suddenly knew terror. They tried to flee, but the cosmic wolves were already moving. Do-hyun watched in amazement as the pack began to hunt. These were not random attacks. The wolves moved with perfect coordination, as if they shared one mind across all their individual bodies. They appeared and disappeared through space itself, jumping between dimensions to strike at their prey from impossible angles. One wolf materialized directly inside a group of devourers. The creatures tried to bite it, but their acid teeth passed harmlessly through its starlight body. The wolf's jaws opened, and instead of a howl, pure gravitational force poured out. The devourers were crushed into nothingness in seconds. Another wolf ran up the side of a ruined building, its paws leaving prints of frozen light on the crystal walls. At the top, it leaped into empty space and became a streak of silver that cut through a flying swarm of devourers like a blade through smoke. "They're not just hunting," Minju said, watching her instruments in wonder. "They're thinking several moves ahead. Look at the pattern of their attacks." She was right. The wolves were herding the devourers, driving them away from the shelters, and toward the empty wastelands where the creatures could be destroyed without harming the hidden civilians. Captain Jiho's voice came through the communicator, filled with disbelief. "The Velithi fleet is reporting impossible readings. The wolf pack is not just on your planet. They're appearing throughout the star system. Some of them are the size of moons, hunting devourer motherships in the void between planets." The pack leader was the largest of all the wolves. It stood nearly as tall as the crystal towers that had once reached toward the sky. Its body was made of compressed aurora light, and when it moved, reality rippled around it like water disturbed by a stone. The great wolf approached Do-hyun, who was still singing the ancient song. His throat was raw and blood ran from his nose, but he could not stop. The pack needed the song to stay connected across the vast distances of space. The wolf lowered its massive head until its burning eyes were level with Do-hyun's face. When it spoke, its voice was like the sound of solar wind across the emptiness between stars. "Warsinger," it said, "we have waited so long to hunt again. The prey grows fat and lazy when predators sleep. Now we wake and the galaxy remembers fear." Do-hyun tried to answer, but only the song came from his lips. The wolf seemed to understand anyway. "Your people forgot their nature," the wolf continued. "You tried to become something soft, something that makes peace instead of war. But the universe does not allow peace for long. There are always hungry things in the dark, always creatures that devour the innocent. That is why your kind bonded with ours so long ago. Around them, the hunt continued. The cosmic wolves moved through dimensions like they were running through a familiar forest. They struck the devourers with claws made of condensed matter and teeth that could bite through the fabric of space itself. Taehyung, the team's military advisor, had finally made it through the ruins to where the others waited. He arrived just in time to see a wolf the size of a fighter jet grab a devourer swarm in its jaws and shake them to pieces like a dog with a toy. "This is what we were always meant to be," he said with wonder in his voice. "Not just soldiers or diplomats, we're the apex predators of the entire galaxy." The great wolf pack leader turned its attention to the underground shelters where millions of Velithi civilians were hiding. With one gentle breath, it repaired the energy shields that had failed when Prince Kyle died. But these new shields were different. They were made of wolf song and starlight, powered by the connection between Earth and its children scattered across the stars. "The shelters are secure," Minju reported. "The civilians are safe. But Dohyun, your vital signs are critical. The song is killing you." The wolf leader heard her words and placed one enormous paw on Dohyun's chest. Immediately, the burning pain in his throat lessened. The wolf was sharing its strength with him, giving him the power to continue the song that held the pack together. "This is not the end, war singer," the wolf said. "This is the beginning. Your people have slept for too long while evil things grew strong in the darkness between stars. The galaxy needs its guardians again. Will you answer when we call?" Dohyun managed to nod, even as the ancient words continued to pour from his lips. Around them, the last of the devourers were being destroyed. The cosmic wolves moved like living storms, their howls shaking the very foundations of reality. They were not just predators. They were justice itself, the force that ensured the weak could sleep safely while the guardians kept watch. But even as victory became certain, Dohyun could feel something changing. The dimensional rifts were becoming unstable. The wolves had answered his call, but they could not stay in normal space for long. Soon they would have to return to the realm between worlds. The question was whether Dohyun would survive long enough to see them go. The song was ending and Dohyun was dying. His body could not take much more of the strain. Blood ran from his eyes and nose, and his heart was beating so fast it felt like it might explode. But he could not stop singing. The cosmic wolves needed his voice to stay connected to this dimension. The great pack leader sensed his weakness. The massive wolf made of aurora light stepped closer and touched its nose to Dohyun's forehead. In that moment, something passed between them. Not just strength, but understanding. "The hunt is finished, war singer," the wolf said gently. "The prey is destroyed. Now comes the hardest part. You must let us go." Dohyun looked around at the battlefield. The devourers were gone, wiped from existence by the cosmic pack. The underground shelters were safe behind shields made of starlight and wolfsong. The twin suns of Velith were setting, painting the crystal ruins in shades of gold and silver. "I don't know how to stop," Dohyun whispered between the ancient words. "You do," the wolf leader said. "Your blood remembers. Trust what your ancestors knew." Slowly, carefully, Dohyun began to change the song. Instead of calling the wolves to hunt, he was now calling them home. The words hurt even more than before, but gradually the ancient song began to fade. The other wolves gathered around their leader, their starlight bodies growing dim as the connection to normal space weakened. But they were not leaving empty-handed. Each wolf carried with it the memory of this hunt, the knowledge that their human partners had not forgotten the old ways. As the dimensional rifts began to close, something wonderful happened. The smallest wolf in the pack, a creature no bigger than the wolves that still ran wild on Earth, broke away from the others. Instead of returning to the realm between worlds, it ran to Dohyun and pressed against his legs like a friendly dog. "This one will stay," the pack leader explained. "A bridge between your world and ours. When the galaxy has need of hunters again, you will not have to tear reality apart to call us. The little one will carry your voice across the stars." The small wolf was beautiful. Its fur looked like captured moonlight and its eyes held the wisdom of ages. When it looked at Do-hyun, he could feel the bond forming between them, stronger than steel and deeper than space. The great wolf leader began to fade as the last rift closed. Remember, War Singer, your people are not meant to be sheep hiding from the wolves. You are the wolves, the galaxy's guardians. When evil things stir in the dark between stars, humanity must be ready to hunt. With those words, the cosmic pack vanished back to their realm between dimensions. The cracks in the sky healed, leaving only normal blue atmosphere and the gentle light of the twin suns. Do-hyun collapsed to his knees, finally free of the ancient song. The small wolf immediately moved to support him, its warm body keeping him from falling completely. So-young and Minju rushed to his side. The quantum readings are stabilizing, Minju reported. But Do-hyun, your neural patterns are permanently changed. The song has awakened something in your brain that will never go back to sleep. Captain Jiho's voice came through the communicator, excited and amazed. The Vailithi fleet is requesting permission to land. They want to meet with Do-hyun personally, and Earth Command is sending every available ship. They're calling this the most important discovery in human history. Over the next few hours, as rescue ships arrived and the immediate danger passed, the full scope of what had happened became clear. The cosmic wolf hunt had been detected across the galaxy. Ancient species that had hidden from the devourers for centuries were coming out of their shelters. Enemies of humanity were fleeing to the farthest reaches of space. Na-young, the team's diplomat, worked with the surviving Vailithi nobles to establish new agreements. The crystal-skinned people offered to share their shield technology and quantum knowledge in exchange for human protection. But more importantly, they offered to help awaken other humans to their ancestral abilities. Not everyone can be a war singer, explained Elder Vaith, the oldest of the Vailithi survivors. But every human carries the potential in their blood. With proper training, your people could call upon allies across the galaxy. The cosmic wolves are just the beginning. Prince Kael's body had crystallized into a beautiful statue that glowed with soft inner light. The Vailithi asked if they could build a monument around it, a reminder of the compact between their species. Do-hyun agreed, understanding that the prince's sacrifice had made everything possible. As the twin suns set completely, painting the sky in brilliant colors, Do-hyun sat beside the monument with the small cosmic wolf curled up next to him. He could still hear whispers at the edge of his mind, but they were quiet now, waiting. So-young joined him, looking out at the crystal city that was already beginning to repair itself with Vailithi technology. "So what happens now?" she asked. "Now, we go home," Do-hyun said, "and we help our people remember what they really are." The small wolf raised its head and howled, a sound that was picked up by every wolf pack on Earth. Across the galaxy, the message spread. Humanity was awake again. The Guardians had returned to their post. In the space between dimensions, the great cosmic pack settled down to wait once more. But this time, they would not wait alone. They knew that when the galaxy needed them again, a war singer would call their names and they would answer. The compact was renewed. The hunt would go on. And in the darkness between stars, the things that fed on innocence trembled and fled deeper into the void, knowing that Earth's children were watching, and Earth's wolves were ready to follow any trail, no matter how far. It led from home. The song was ended, but the melody would echo forever.